Padres fans, hot stove keeps cooking. Let's talk about another foreign import the Friars might bring in 2026 and why maybe the answer's been staring us all in the face all along. What's going on? Christian Pedersen back with another episode of Padres Digest, the show that is now thinking that we should win one out of spite against Mike Shildt and Dylan Cease. Both of those guys leaving the Padres for greener pastures allegedly today. Got other videos on that. Oh, so that's why I always say hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the inside jokes I'm trying to insert into our weird little baseball community that we're forming. Love hearing from you as well. I think we got a lot to talk about on this one, and let's have the back and forth. You guys see baseball fantastically differently than I do, so I like having that conversation, especially when opportunities arise like this headline that we've got here about new KBO posting candidate could give Padres a sneaky path to upgrade infield depth. So I can't take entirely credit for the ideas and theses that we're going to discuss here, but I want to put my take and spin on it. And we've talked about multiple KBO guys over the last couple of weeks as free agency is beginning to go from like hypothetical stuff into the real stuff. And this time it's 29-year-old Sung Moon Song. He is a third baseman primarily, but is posting himself as just an infielder, as a utility infield guy. And so, okay, Sun Moon Song, the numbers, let's talk about who he is, production-wise. He's, like I said, 29, so is on the older side of initial postees. The 29-year-old played third base. This is from the article that brought this headline to my attention. Played third base in 2025 while putting up some exceptional numbers with .315 batting average and a decent slash line, 26 home runs over the course of 144 games. The home runs are cool, but very hard for me. I want very badly to not be an elitist snob and say that, KBO, the Nippon League, all those numbers, they just don't translate. International games, they just don't translate. I like to believe that, Shohei got here because Shohei got here because Shohei got, like, the best baseball is the best baseball, and it's being played elsewhere by guys at certain ages and time. But also at the same time, with Kyle Hart last year and with several other guys that have come over here, including Ha-Sung Kim, the numbers, let's call it, had at least some fluctuation and variation. So saying a guy who's a .315 hitter with 20-something home runs, I want to think, given that he's 29, he is mature enough and developed enough as a baseball player to say somewhat consistent, and that at the very worst, that this could dip down to be like he's a .285 hitter and 15 home runs. But that's more punditry than analysis. So I'm trying to keep to the facts here initially before I go full take. Where this one becomes kind of interesting, that this article goes on to talk about, is that the estimated contract that this gentleman is potentially going to get here in the major leagues should be somewhere in the vicinity of $5-ish million, which would be a massive step below people like Luis Arraez, Ryan O'Hearn, some of the other estimated former Padres or current, we can call them former Padres until they become Padres again, because they are unrestricted free agents. But both of those guys estimated to get like 15 to 20 something million a year. And that's not $5 million a year. And so it's not like this guy's, he's $3 cheaper. Like, this guy is a huge step down in the costs, but potentially still hypothetically a good and MLB-ready baseball player. At second base, though, we already have Jake Cronenworth, but I brought this up in a video earlier today or yesterday or tomorrow or whenever. I I always forget that this is YouTube and this is not about when I'm recording this. It's about when you're watching it. But a previous video that I did about a possible signing at the first base position of the Red Sox DFAing some players. But this is what pops up on the Padres depth chart right now online, is that Cronenworth is listed as both the starting first and second baseman. Jake has played both. Jake is an infielder. He is a second baseman primarily, but he's also played third. He's played short. He's just a dude who I think we've got under contract for a minute and has still some baseball left in him. And so I don't think we're married to Jake Cronenworth being the Padres first baseman. So is there an argument to be made that instead of looking at trying to be like, oh, we'll over leverage ourselves with O'Hearn, or we'll something or other, we'll have Sheets platoon it with Nathaniel and the scraps from X, Y, and Z other major league squad. Maybe the answer is, and the article brings this up, but maybe the answer is to move Cronenworth to first and go sign a new second baseman. I like the thought process here in terms of, at the very least, let's be creative and think through all of the moves. Think through all the different angles and permutations before we cast any one judgment on an idea. It's a hard pill to swallow as a Padres franchise of saying that we can't bring back, one of the two. I've made plenty of arguments on this channel for Ryan O'Hearn. If he could be a Padre, he should be a Padre, and I think that bringing him back would be good. I also think that Luis Arraez could be an overpay. So it's not like I'm married to having to, oh my gosh, we just bring back all the guys. But to go from where we were a couple years ago to where we are now, of being like, hey, instead of signing either of those guys, how about we sign neither of those guys, move Cronenworth to first, and then hope that we strike gold in the KBO. In principle, that does sound hard to swallow. But I, at the same time, am more on board with this than I am with let's go get the emptied out husk of a former dude and shove him at first, or let's over leverage and pay a JT Realmuto to platoon. Like, instead of stretching with some weird sort of like, we're gonna have another career revival, I would be down with, if those are our two bad options, I'll take the move Jake and then sign somebody fresh in from the KBO to come in who teams maybe haven't scouted a ton, and we can get a little lightning in a bottle for a year. Maybe instead of 20-something home runs, like I said, if he could hit 280 with 11 home runs at second base for us, and Jake has a little bit of a bounce back year, infield is covered. And then we can also, platoon Sheets there if Jake needs a day off, and go and get one or two other guys to fill one or two other random little minimum wage background spots. Kind of like it. Don't love it. Kind of like it. But curious what you guys think. Let me know. Talk to you soon.